Let's have some fun. Yeah. One Swayze. Believe in yourself. Hey, they said it wouldn't go like this. I ain't even think it was gonna go like this. Stay true.
Going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is YL from rebelearspodcast coming to you again with another tip, another in person, on hand look and vibe on how I set up my recording sessions and how I set up my mixing sessions. Today, we're going to do a quick video. This is for my Apollo users. If you have the Apollo Twin or the Apollo Octo or whatever Apollo interface that you like to use, this is a video for you. Um, so as you can see, I have my console brought up. Here's my UAD console. So basically, this right here, as you can see, I'm using an Apollo Twin, but this right here allows me to control my interface, right? So this is like a standalone app, right? So you just, go in your dock, click it, open it up, and you can actually affect your Apollo without being in Pro Tools, or you can, this is where you set your vocal chain, different things of that nature before you enter Pro Tools. Okay, so as you can see, I have a pad on. I like to keep a pad on my input just to keep from peaking, just to keep from being so loud. It also helps block out like those outside sounds like a car driving by, different things of that nature. I am just in a regular home setup just to show you guys this video. I don't have anything special going on. I also like to have my low cut filter. I like to cut out about 100 hertz on down. Anything between 0 and 100 usually has a lot of low end that can kind of not really distort vocals, but not have them as clear as they could be. And then of course I have my phantom power on for the type of mic that I'm using. Really quick, I want to just go over my vocal chain. This is my personal vocal chain. If you look at YouTube and watch different engineers, everyone has their own thing that they're doing. So like I said, this is just my personal. I don't have all $40,000 worth of UAD plugins. So my vocal chain is limited, but I do think it's very effective. Um, First thing first is my preamp. So in my preamp, I like to set my gain. I do my gain staging. Then I come in and I'm cutting out 100 again. And I can actually cut out 200 here. And then you can probably hear a slight change in the vocals where they might have got a little clearer. And then I'm actually boosting at 7K. The reason why I like to boost around 7K for my raw vocals, 7K is usually where a lot of presence lives in vocals. 10K, you can boost at 10K, but 10K is really bright. So if you hear the difference here, now I'm boosting at 10K, you can hear that it's gotten a little bit brighter. Remember, this is a vocal chain, so it's all about raw vocals. You don't want to alter the raw sound and the raw vocals too much. You just kind of want to shape it a little bit. So that's why I like to boost that 7K. As you can hear, it's not so much resonance. And when I'm on 10K, you can hear like a bright resonance that I have to go in eventually and have to attenuate in those frequencies. So I like to stay right at 7K. You can see it's a lot flatter, a lot more calmer, and that's what I'm looking for in my particular vocals. This is something that I'm doing for myself so you guys can hear me talk. Different artists come with different vibes, come with different sounds. You're going to shape and tone their raw, natural vocals a little differently. All right, so this is just my pad here. I can cut out at 15. This is my in and out of phase button. This is my output down here, and this is my level. So this is how much of all of this right here that I'm doing. This is how much of that I want to bring in to amplify my raw signal. So that is my preamp. It's the UA610B. It's what I like to use for my preamp. Next in my vocal chain, number 2, insert number 2, I love this Pultec equalizer. The reason why I like it is just so many different parameters. It's a lot of different frequencies, and you can do a lot of things with your bandwidth. I love the type of EQs that emulate analog sound, analog outboard gear. Reason being is just, I just love that raw, warm, kind of really homey sound in raw vocals. So this particular plugin, like I said, I really love this. It gives you the option to peak on certain frequencies, and that just allows you to turn up certain frequencies. So from 200 to 1K, I can turn up, which I'm at 0 right now because I don't really want to turn up any of these frequencies here. I think this would be more for instruments, for vocals. None of these frequencies, at least not for my vocals, none of these frequencies would benefit me to just turn them up, especially not 1,000. So with that said, as you can see over here, dipping on my dip option, I can go from 200 to 5K. And usually 1K is where a lot of mud and a lot of resonance get caught for vocals. So I'm actually at 1K here on my dip, and as you can see, I'm actually turning it down by -2 decibels. Remember, this is a dip option, so that means you're turning it down. Um, so I'm turning it down about 2 decibels, right at 1K, just to kind of pull some of that resonance out. And as you can hear now, if I don't turn any down, you can hear a more like you hear those background roomy, airy type of sounds. This is what we call resonance. So you want to pull that out. You want to make it a little clearer, a little flatter. And as you see, as I turn it up, those same sounds go away. You don't want to take all of it out because, again, like I said before, you want it to sound natural. You don't want to alter the natural vocals too much. So that's why I'm dipping at 1K. I peak at 4, just a tad, not a lot. It's a lot of good presence that can live at 4K, at 3K, but it's also a lot of resonance, like right at 5K. A lot of sibilance is also around 5K for vocals. So I don't want to peak a lot. This I'm only allowed to go from 1.5 to 5 here, so it's not a lot of different frequencies I can choose from. So I go right at 4, and then I just peak it. I just turn it up just enough to get a little of those high mid presence. All right, so down here this is my favorite part of the actual EQ myself. So I can boost or attenuate 2 different frequencies, right? And this is very important for me. I think these are the more important frequencies on this plugin, on this equalizer, on this EQ. So right here from 20 to 100, these are my low frequencies, 20, 30, 60, 100. I always want to cut all of those type of frequencies out. To be honest, from 60 to 20, you really won't even be able to hear frequencies that low. In the human ear, you really can't hear frequencies that low. A lot of bass and 808s live around the 100, 200 range. But in vocals, a lot of mud lives in the 100 range. So I'm attenuating. Attenuate means to turn down. So it's kind of just like this dip feature here. I can boost or attenuate at 100. I don't want to boost at all because I already have a deep voice. So I like to attenuate right at 100, and it's kind of like my low cut filter that I showed you guys on my preamp. So if I turn down the attenuation, you can actually hear the difference. And I'm boosting 100K, you can hear a lot of mud. It's bringing in a lot of low frequency that I really don't want because, like I said before, my voice is not that muddy and it's not that deep, but it's deep enough to where I can pull some lows out. I do want it to sound natural. Boosting at 100%, obviously my voice is not that deep. So I definitely want to take out the low frequency just to make my voice a little clearer and crisper. Just a tad. I'm just attenuating right up under 1 decibel. Nothing major. I love this right here. So this is my bandwidth knob. So my bandwidth allows me to sharpen or broaden my waveform at these frequencies, right? So at 100, I have a slightly small bandwidth that I'm pulling out because I'm actually doing a subtractive EQ type of deal. Now, if I widen my bandwidth, you can hear a lot of more bass kind of pull out because I'm making my waveform a lot wider, and it's affecting a lot more area that I'm actually attenuating. So I love this part, the bandwidth option. Right over here, I'm at 10K. Remember, I told you 10K has a lot of brightness. So once I shape my vocals up in here, I actually cut down on a little bit more lows here to make it a little bit more crisp. I'm gonna give it just a tad bit of pop. And you know, this is gonna 10K is gonna allow my vocals to pop out just enough to where it sounds crispy enough for me. Like I said, different artists come with different vibes, so you always have to turn knobs when you're going through sound check. You always have to turn knobs to figure out what's the best sound for that artist, whether it's analog gear or whether it's digital vocal chain like here on this interface. So I can boost that 10K and you hear how bright the voice is. You hear all of that resonance. It's a lot of you hear the S's and the sibilants that's there, which is why boosting at 10K a lot is not really a great idea. A lot of cymbals and different things like that will live in that range though. Obviously 12 and 16 is way too high of a frequency for me to even try to boost. I'm not turning down at 10K because I want, like I said, to brighten my vocals just a tad because I do have a flat, deep voice. Alright, so that's my EQ. Last but not least, I love this Teletronics LA2A, similar to the Wave CLA2A, the crystal algae version. But this compressor and this emulation of the compressor here is one of my favorites. It's very simple. Uh, you know, it's kind of cut and dry, which I like those about analog compressors, especially when I'm throwing it on the vocal chain, right? This is not really something that I would use in my mixing process. Usually in my mixing process, I would want a few more parameters. I would want some more knobs, bells, and whistles to give me a little bit more flexibility when it comes to mixing. But for my recording, you know, I wanted to be warm. I wanted to have that analog sound, and I wanted to be simple. Because when you're recording, time is money. So the quicker you can find that sound, the better, right? So this is why I love this plugin here on the vocal chain. So my gain, this is just overall loudness. As you can see, I turned that down and now I'm cranking it all the way back up. So this is just overall loudness here. Now this, your peak reduction, is all about gain reduction. So if I turn the gain reduction down all the way to 0, I'm getting a lot less compression. There's not a lot of compression going on here versus as I turn my peak reduction up, you can see this VU meter start to move here. And this is actually my meter for my gain reduction. So if you look on compressors and you see gain reduction or GR or anything like that, this is telling you how much reduction you're getting here. You're controlling how much reduction you're getting here on your compressor. Because remember, your compressor is smashing all of the vocals down into like making them level, kind of, so to speak, right? So the more compression you're going to get, the more smashed and compressed is going to sound, as you can hear right here, right? And then the less, you can hear a lot more of my natural vocals coming through, and then you can hear a lot of them being compressed. They're getting pushed down, they're getting smashed. So you never want to crank up a compressor on a vocal chain, because remember, it's all about raw vocals. You still want the raw livelihood and the raw sound and the raw body of the natural vocals. So here, usually I like to keep my gain reduction between 1 and 3, but I'll even take a 0 between 0 and 2 sometimes, depending on the artist, depending on the type of music that I'm recording. Right up in here, I'm probably going to go, as you can see, I had it on like 70, so it's not really moving too much. I'm not really getting a lot of gain reduction, which I don't want a lot of gain reduction because I still want my vocals to be raw. I still want them to be as natural as possible. So yeah, this is YL. This is my console vocal chain. I have different vocal chains. I have different presets for different artists. So they have different inserts here and different parameters and different settings for different artists, different genres. But for me, just talking to you guys, and when you hear me in future videos, this will probably be my vocal chain, and I'll tweak it as I see fit. But yeah, man, real simple vocal chain. Can't go wrong on it. Pretty clear, pretty crisp. Outside of this, the only thing you can really do is just get your room treated acoustically, and you're gonna have a pretty raw and natural and crisp sound, and that's what you want going into the recording. And then you add all of your swag and your creativity to the actual mixing process. This has been rebelears.com with another tip, another personal look in on how I set up my vocal chain on my Apollo Twin. See y'all next time.
Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you hit that follow button, that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell. Check out our website, rebelears.com, for all the cool products we have for you guys. Follow us on social media, Rebel Ears Podcast on Instagram, Rebel Ears on Twitter, Rebel Ears on TikTok. And I'll see you guys next time. Be safe.